So what we have here that we're going to work on today is a Stihl Fs76 weed eater. It turns over and has compression, but this thing won't start. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure I check for spark. So, see if you can see that spark plug looks pretty good actually. It's a nice light brown. It's not oily, so I would say that at one time it was running pretty good. Let me give it a spark check here. Find some metal somewhere. Spark plug has to be grounded in order to spark, and so pick the on and off. I do not see spark. It's got spark. I just felt it. So we got spark. It got ignition anyways. And it smells like it had bad fuel on it one time. So the two fuel lines are gone, and the two grommets that go into the fuel line are gone. We need to fix that first. I'm going to get this cover off here for the choke. Get into this.
Yep, it's on. Good.
And we're going to take off this cover here. Is for that gets into the carburetor. Probably metric, but that'll work right there. This is a 5/16. Let me get to this so I can get in to see where the fuel lines go in. I got my little magnetic nut bolt holder here. So we don't lose anything. Right. Let's see if I can, from this other camera, I'm going to bring this other camera over here, see if we can see this. See this here a little bit. So, if you can look right in here, let me get a little more light on it because it's pretty bright outside. The line is in here in the hole now with the grommet. And you should be able to see there, you can see the two lines going in. One going in, one coming out, and I don't know if you'll be able to see in there, but from the inside, you get there, you can see that the thing is in the bottom of the filter. So now, get rid of the alcohol. Got some fuel line stuff here. We got off Amazon, so and that's not always the best place to buy this stuff, but we're going to try this. see if these grommets fit. We've got multiple sizes. They all look the same. It looks like they'll go in there. Okay. So let's get some fuel line. I don't know if I want to use the black fuel line or not. One problem about black fuel line is you can't see the fuel coming up into the carburetor. You see if it's flowing. I think I'm going to take this cover off if I can get to it. Got a screw there, and then a screw over here, and of course there are Torx. Alright, so I said Torx screwdriver, and I don't know if you can see this or not. On the end of it, it looks like a star. Some people call it a star bit, but it's actually a Torx. T-O-R-Q, I think. T-O-R-Q is what. They actually are made better than Phillips or a regular screwdriver because they don't slip. Have a better tendency to grab hold and get something loose. The bad part is most people don't have that kind of screwdriver at home. And then there's different sizes of them. It should lift off there. There we go. That'll give us a little bit more room in here to get to these. So let's get the piece of hose. Stick it on here. It looks like it's going to fit. And then one of these will go into the fuel line as a return, and one of them will go in as a pickup. And we need to make sure we put the pickup one with this filter on it. It has this filter. It'll go on the end of this line and come up through the carburetor. Up to the carburetor through that hole in the thing. So that's kind of a work that you have to do all in kind of like a mixed way of getting things in there. What I'm going to try to do is, let's get this out of the way. I had some long needle nose pliers. I need to be able to grab hold of that line and bring it out. I don't have my needle nose, but let's try this. Might not be strong enough. Right there. There it is. Now I'll put this on there. It's a filter. And this is kind of weighted, so it goes to the bottom. And you have to kind of push the hose onto the fitting. And they go on fairly hard. There we go. So I'm going to want it so that it's always in the bottom of the tank. So I want to make sure I have enough line left over down there. It's laying in the bottom of the tank. And then I'll cut it off, this line off here, to get it up to where it needs to go. And we want to make sure we put the grommet on there. We could put a little bit of oil on there, but I'm going to use some alcohol because I've got it right here. And alcohol will let it slide, but it will also dry out. So let's try that. Just don't want to go through there very easy. You might have to go to some WD-40 or some oil. Almost. Let's try a little WD-40. I don't like to use the WD-40 on here because it'll stay there a long time. It'll make it slide easy, but it'll definitely stay there a long time. And it gets all over everything. But it worked. See what I say? It's now I've got it all over everything. And we want to make sure that is in the lowest part, and we'll slide this into the hole over here. There we go. It's fairly snug. And I'll do the same thing with this line. This line just has to drop back in. The line is in here in the hole now with the grommet. And you should be able to see there. You can see the two lines going in. One going in, one coming out. And I don't know if you'll be able to see in there, but from the inside, you get there, you can see that the thing is in the bottom of the filter. Doesn't even have a hole all the way through. I don't like that. I will cut. I can cut the end off and get a hole in it. Push her in the hole. Okay. I'm going to show you. I'll show you where the line is in here in the hole now with the grommet. And you should be able to see there. You can see the two lines going in, one going in, one coming out. And I don't know if you'll be able to see in there, but from the inside, there you can see that the thing is in the bottom, the filter. So now, here's the alcohol. It's warm out here today. Now to remember which line goes where, I believe this line will go here. Yeah, this is the diaphragm side. This should be the return side, and that's what it would be right there. We'll cut that off and hook it on there. And that would make this one. I'll leave this long just to check it, make sure it runs, and then I can trim them up. Alright, so I've got the lines in place. I'll probably have to take them back off and switch them, but we're going to give it a shot. I will need some fuel. Okay, so I'm going to be using this 50-to-1 mixture of 2-cycle fuel. This stuff is fairly expensive because you're paying $7 for a quart, and there's 4 quarts in a gallon, so that's $24 a gallon. You can buy non-ethanol gas for probably about around here, probably $4 or $4.50 a gallon, and then mix your own. But the biggest problem is people don't use a gallon of that much fuel that quickly. And if you can figure out how to get the lid off, it'll be good. Should be enough fuel in there to get it running. So I can put the gas cap back on, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but that cord right here is getting pretty bad shape. So eventually this is going to have to be replaced too. I think them pop out of there, and you can buy a new piece. But right now, that's not the issue. So, in order to get this carburetor to stay on there, back piece. I got to put this back piece on here. And this has got kind of a unique choke. Normally, the choke works; it'll cover the hole over. And what they're doing here, if you can see it. Try to get in front of the camera. When you pull the lever down, it actually just closing off over here on the side, over here, on this side right here. See the orange? So that's where it's going. Kind of different, but it does the same thing. It's making closing off the airflow in so that it makes it richer. It actually causes a suction. before I go too far, let's hit this little button over here. Should be pulling fuel up, and it is. Even in this little bubble here, because it's pulling, or got a suction on the line, it's actually pulling fuel out of the tank and up into the carburetor. If the carburetor would have had the lines already there, I would remember where the filter side was on, but it didn't have it. It's actually supposed to pull fuel up through the carburetor, so it's ready to fire. So we got that. Need a spark plug. Probably wouldn't be a bad time to put a new spark plug in here. This one really doesn't look bad. It looks pretty new. I'm going to check the spark again here. Well, I got kind of hard to see in this with the bright sunshine behind me. I got to get a better spot. See if it can't shade out the sunlight. Oh yeah, got a good blue spark. I think I'm going to, because it's been sitting a little while, I'm going to give it a little shot of WD-40 down that cylinder. Something to lubricate the turn it up over a couple times, just because it is a 2-cycle engine and they need oil. It doesn't have oil in the crankcase. All the oils come through with the gas, so we need to make sure we don't start this with a dry cylinder. So 2-cycle engines, they actually fire every time the piston comes up. That's one of the nice things about it. They're lightweight and they're very efficient. Bad problem is they're not very environmentally clean. The fuel economy is not real good on, but they make a lot of power. Okay, we have fuel to the top. I got the choke on. I got the ignition switch on, and we'll set this little restart button if I can get it to work. I guess it doesn't have a setting for that. Give it a couple pulls. That was a good sign. Choke off. That's pretty good. Gotta admit. I would have thought there'd been a whole lot more of that carburetor. So probably what happened in the past when this thing was being used, they were not using ethanol gas, which is a good thing because it eats all the lines up between the heat of just the atmosphere and then the alcohol gas. The alcohol gas just eats everything plastic up. All the lines, they just don't hold up at all. So it's better to run the non-ethanol gas with a good oil, good 2-cycle oil. And I'm gonna trim these lines off a little bit and clean it up a little bit, and call this one done. All they wanted was to get it running, and that's what we got. We got it running. Get this one off a little bit. think that'll work. We'll button her up. I'm also going to tip it upside down to make sure that the new grommets don't leak around the hose. I want to get this put back together first, and then we'll set the line on the bottom. It looks like he's got the different style string holder, which I really like those. You just you don't have to wind it up. You just have 3 pieces of trimmer line, usually about a foot long, and you bend them over and carry some in your pocket. You switch them out one at a time or all of them at a time. Whereas the other ones, they kind of wind in, and you can lose one side into the car or into the head, and the other one's hanging out. I've had those all messed up. This does have an air filter. It looks like fairly new. Looks really nice. And it says this side out. Put that back on there. Got that there. Choke's not hanging up. But let me loosen this up a little bit. Turn the gas around here. Make sure. Yeah, we got carburetor or water or fuel coming out of the carburetor, but it's not coming out of the grommets. That's okay. That fuel coming out of the carburetor is there because there's fuel in the carburetor. So we can put this cover back on. Let's see where the there's that hole. There's that hole. Seems like it go like this. Nope, we got that going over the exhaust, I guess. I cannot believe we put something over the exhaust like that. But they got it. Well, it's been engineered by Stihl, so it's got to be good. So I'm dripping a little bit of fuel out of the carburetor. That's not a beetle stuck. So I'm going to restart it, switch back on. Not too bad. I'm going to put a little seafoam in it to help it. Here's these ends I was talking about there. Maybe you can see it now. So these things swivel. See that? And so you feed one line or piece of line through there, and the other piece comes out. And it just wears off the end. The nice part about these is they swivel all the way if you hit something hard instead of breaking the line off. And that's not a Stihl part. That's an aftermarket part. I don't know that Stihl sells those, but they are nice. I've got one on one of the trimmers I have. So that's it for this one. I am going to add some stuff into the fuel. I'm not going to mess with the calibration of the carburetor right now because it seems to be running good. It probably ran good for a long time. What I normally add to it, this is empty can, but I always add seafoam to all my fuel that I get, and not that I'm supported by seafoam, but in my prior life of working for on outboard motors, we use this a lot, and I know it works, so I've always stayed with it. I actually put this in my tractor and all my other engines here. It cuts down on the fuel problems by quite a bit. You can use whatever brand you want. That's the one I use. All right, that's it for this project. Fairly simple this time. Thank you.